One of the main reasons why I wanted to start a supplement brand in the first place was I was already involved in the supplement industry. I had a foot in the door. I was taking supplements since I was 16 years old, so I had a liking towards that. I became type 1 diabetic 18, 19 years old. So I was really using these things and relying on them heavily, right? I was looking for like the benefits of the supplements. I was always reading about them. I was always seeing where I can get an advantage. I came up a little shy in some of the sports. I was a little bit on the smaller side coming up, and that's what actually got me into the weights and the weight training. I used to play basketball very aggressively, football pretty aggressively, and then I just couldn't quite take it to that next level because I think I just wasn't overall big enough. So that's where I found my love for working out. That happened at a Dolphin Gym studio at Avenue N and 54th Street in Brooklyn. And once I touched the weights, I just fell in love with it. It was a runaway train from there. But the reason why I got into the supplement industry and the reason why I wanted to own my own brand, and I really, really, truly believe after selling supplements for like 3 to 4 years in Aggressive Nutrition, which was my supplement store, I felt like I was seeing a lot of the ploys in the back end. I was seeing a lot of the marketing gimmicks. I was seeing where the consumer was getting slighted. And I was also seeing where some of my pain points were with taking supplements at the time where, some of these supplements they weren't really meant to fully perform. Once you start looking at studies and you start looking at clinical dosages and stuff like that, or you're trying to reverse engineer things from proprietary blends and you're taking these things and you're relying upon them. And one, they're not cheap. They weren't cheap 10 years ago. They've only gotten more expensive. So it's like, you're spending a lot of money to put something in your body and you don't fully know what it is. And you're looking for these benefits. And like, then you start to see like, well, can you really get them? Are you going to get them? Is this enough? Or is this like a sensory thing? I just feel something, is it an instant gratification piece? Is this placebo? So I felt like a lot of the brands were spending so much money on athletes and marketing at the time and just using that to their advantage. And it's not much different than it is now, except, there are transparent labels where you can see the full formula and stuff like that. But at the time, I feel like I saw all those things that were negative and that weren't serving the consumer. And I said, you know what? I could do this better myself. I really could put this together better myself. And I think I can give the customer a product that's better, something that would fuel somebody like me at the time for what I was doing. So it was going to be a little bit more edgy. It was going to be a little bit more extreme, but it was going to get the job done. And that's really what got me started in the industry. I've always had a liking towards marketing. I started to see the e-com boom and I said, hey, we got to be on e-com. This is where it's going to go. This is where things are not changing. We need to get on the e-commerce side of things. And I think between the marketing, the e-com, in the beginning, I was like literally studying books on cold calling, sales, creating sales scripts, and things of that nature. So I got the full spectrum. After being in a retail store for 3.5, 4 years, I got to learn the merchandising side of things, marketing, psychological, why things are put by the counter, what colors pop, and so I got into a whole crash course on my own dime there. And I was like, okay, well, let me see what it's like on this side of the fence because this is where things are going. And that's pretty much what happened. I deep dove into every aspect of the business. So I was into the sales, the networking, negotiating with athletes and contracts, and just, cold calling stores, formulating products, working with graphic designers, manufacturers. It was fun. It was exciting. It was something new. But I think that I was just overall attracted to just having my own brand and putting out something better. That's something that people would really appreciate and something better than the competition was giving them. And that was the main culprit. And all the other things that I've got to learn, and it's gotten only more involved since then, are just all these little moving parts of actually operating a business at scale. And it's been definitely a journey to say the least. There's a lot of things that I could do a lot better. There's a lot of things I'm still working on and learning. But for the most part, I would say that I have been involved in every aspect of the business and I can speak every language to every sector of the business. So when I hire people, it's very easy for me to kind of communicate with them and talk to them because, I've done everything from, pushing a broom and mopping the floors to, shutting down late at night, and closing out the cash register pretty much. So, obviously as you scale more money, the bigger the ship, you deal with more problems and it gets a little bit more involved and then you have to delegate and give some jobs away. And it's helped me and taught me to be a better leader. Like I said, it's been a journey. It's been a 10-year thing, but that's the main reason why we got started with Condemned Labz. We saw holes in the market. We saw consumers getting slighted. We saw athletes like us who were, not rich and we were paying a lot of money for these supplements. We were putting them in our body and we needed them to perform at the highest level because a lot of us were battling for a pro card or we were going to that next level in our pro career. And that was something that really bothered me too, because, you spend this money on these things and you want to make sure that you're getting, everything that says you're getting, and you want to make sure that it's going to give you that edge or it's going to give you that advantage. You don't want to know that you're spending all this money to kind of waste your time or, anything like that. So that was the real driving reason why we started Condemned Labz.